Weather is something that comes in many different forms, whether it be just simply rain, wind, thunderstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, ice storms. Just the whole spectrum is filled with so much insanity. The earth just goes a million miles per hour with it, seems like. Well, today I'm here to talk about my top 20 weather events that actually shaped my career towards wanting to be a broadcast meteorologist. I'm currently a second year senior here at Ball State University. This is my final semester here in college. It's insane that I'm graduating in December. I'm freaking like mind blown at this point. I can remember 4 years ago I started here in August of 2015, and it's like I never looked back, I guess. I started college at 17, now I'm 21. I've seen quite a lot in my lifetime, so this is a list that features events before the year 2017, principally because of the fact that it had to take a minute to settle in with me. No, the February 28, 2017 outbreak will not be on this list. That was an insane one. I do remember that. And also the Beauregard, Alabama tornado won't also be on this list either, even though that was a tragedy that should have never happened. 23 people being killed. Ridiculous. I guess those are the couple of honorable mentions. I'll just put it like that. And also the May 2019 tornado outbreak. That still hasn't digested with me either. That was insane. There's more like about up to 30 on this list because of a couple of ties. I'm going to get through the first 10 kind of quickly. Once we start getting like top 10, top 5, the explanations get longer. So here we go. Number 20 is the Lafayette, Indiana tornado from April 1994. For those who live in Lafayette, been living there since probably before 94, will remember this tornado. This was a very serious tornado at night. Happened basically right at midnight, April 27th. It went from the 26th and the 27th, boom. F4 tornado went through the north side of town. Unfortunately, 3 people were killed in this one. This was a very wicked tornado. I've always wanted to see a photo of it. Unfortunately, I have not got the chance to see a photo. I think I saw a photo of the storm. It's one that's more likely just like it's a very interesting case with my interest in this case of a tornado. Number 19 is a listing that I feel like should be higher on the list, but it's not for a reason. It's the June 1998 Cumberland tornado. Again, F4. The last time we had a violent tornado hit around the Indianapolis area, I think was this tornado. This has been 21 years ago. It's been 21 years. June 11th saw a sight rest day across the state. Also notable tornadoes were Napanee near Kokomo, I believe. But this tornado was the most violent one. This was the strongest one. Definitely one that was intense. I was only 2 months old when this happened. The reason why it's this low on the list is just one that's because of the fact that, I mean, it really did help me a little bit with like being like, yeah, I'm really into the tornadoes and stuff. But the details of it were so, I'm more like incomplete for like the longest time. And finally, over the last couple of years, I've been able to fine tune the details. Number 18, the North American Arctic Blast of 2014. Why did I not include 1994 on this list? Well, I didn't really know about it until like the last year or so. The 2019 Arctic Blast is not on this list because it just recently happened in January, and it's still freaking insane how that even happened. But in 2014, we experienced some really harsh cold. The highs were only in the -5 range, and the low was like -15. It was ridiculous. Wind chills exceedingly dangerous levels like -35, -40 levels we hadn't seen at that time in 20 years. January 19th, 1994, central Indiana was gripped with fear with the cold. I think my dad said the wind chill was like -60 at one point. Ridiculous. But 2014, I didn't leave my house for 36 hours, I think, at all. Yeah, my window was pretty frozen. That was insane. Number 17, we're back with the tornado side of things. June 18th, 2001, Siren, Wisconsin tornado. This was a very interesting tornado, to say the least. For some, like obviously, folks in the upper Midwest, their tornado season is going to be more like in June and July. This is not a uncommon tornado, or I should say, this is not it's kind of uncommon to have a really strong tornado up that far up north, but where Siren, Wisconsin is, I mean, it can happen. It's not really unusual. Wisconsin's had its fair share of serious tornadoes. Just look back at New Richmond in 1899. But this was a tornado that happened at like 8 p.m. in the evening. I thought for some reason it was nighttime. I don't know why it was not nighttime. It was getting close. It was dusk. Unfortunately, a couple people were killed. The only one thing that's really notable from this event is the fact there was a boat wrapped around a tree. I think it's still there to this day. So, quite interesting. Number 16 is one that really struck me in a very interesting way. It was the 1987 Northwest Wyoming tornado. Among the most violent high altitude tornadoes ever recorded is this
I can't get the answer to that on HomePod.
I apologize about that. When my friend's home SiriPod does this, I don't know why, it scares the absolute crap out of me. But back on July 21st, 1987, there was a massive F4 tornado that hit Teton Wilderness, crossed the Continental Divide, and it also hit Yellowstone National Park. A mile and a half wide at one point. Wow, ridiculous. That's exceedingly rare for that region. Something like that will never happen again probably in our lifetime. I wish I got to see photographs of this tornado. There's none that's in existence. Up to 1 million trees are uprooted. Insane, insane. Number 15, we're going to hurricanes finally. Number 15 is Hurricane Andrew. Hurricane Andrew, I don't know why it's this low on the list. This is one of the first Storm Stories episodes I watched on about. Hurricane Andrew was the last Category 5 hurricane to make landfall. Hurricane Michael was the most recent one. Now, that's also not on this list because it happened just almost a year ago, and I'm still trying to digest that one. That was wild. My God, Panama City Beach, Florida was in ruins. It was bad. Trust me. But Hurricane Andrew was bad in its own right too. Sustained winds of 165, 175 miles per hour. The anemometer actually broke at one point during the hurricane. Homestead had gotten obliterated, and Miami got kind of hit hard too. A couple dozen people, I think, were killed in this hurricane, but the sheer power of it was just absolutely phenomenal. Andrew was one that was going in the record books, whether you thought it was or not. Number 14 is Loma Prieta earthquake from 1989. I know it's not a tornado or hurricane, but this is one that's got me on this list because I found out about this when I was about 10 years old. And it's one that really stuck with me. What happened was on October 17th, 1989, there was a World Series game about to start. Game number 3 between the Oakland Athletics and the San Francisco Giants. What happened was Al Michaels and another announcer were going through highlights from Game 2, and all of a sudden, screen started to go, like, blacking out, and Al Michaels was like, well, fuck, I think we're having an earthquake. He cuts out. There was a 6.9 earthquake that had happened nearby. They were up in that area. The Nimitz Freeway, which is an overlapping freeway, part of sections of it collapsed. Unfortunately, 43 people, I think, were killed alone on the freeway, I believe, or overall. I think the amount of fatalities was near 60. Very sad that happened. That's frightening. Some people got very lucky, but they definitely had some traumatic stress for the next few days. I definitely can guarantee you that. Number 13 is Mount St. Helens, the eruption in 1980. This was one of the most insane events of all time in U.S. history. One that really is still talked about kind of to this day. May 17th saw the massive eruption of St. Helens, blew one side off and it just went a lateral eruption, which it just spewed off to one side and it was over at that point. It was 60 people, I think, were killed when the insanity just arose with this one. Ash spewed out as far as Oklahoma, and most of the sky turned pink for up to a good part of the rest of the year. This was an event that's, like I said, it's still talked about to this day, and there has been mentions if Mount Rainier erupted or the volcano of Yellowstone, especially the volcano of Yellowstone. Yeah, hopefully that does not happen in our lifetime or ever happens, but it's not a given of if it will. It's only a matter of when, because like they talk about Dallas being hit by an EF5 tornado. Number 12 is all Palm Sunday outbreaks. I'm going to specifically stick to the one with 1965 because that one had Indiana written all over it. Even Michigan, too, and Ohio. Some of Illinois, but Indiana got hit the hardest with this one. Michigan did, too. They weren't far behind. They got obliterated, but we got it way worse. Numerous F4 tornadoes were slamming part of northern Indiana, and it was absolutely insane with how it was going. At one point, there were 4 double funnels observed, and it was just absolutely intense with how it went. And so, at one point too, I forgot the name of the place. It's in Michigan, southern Michigan. It was what had happened was there was a tornado, both or two F4s. They had basically overlapped part of the tracks of each other near a Manitoba Devil Lake Springs or something like that. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Near 300 fatalities. Really insane. 1994 had the outbreak. The main tornado hit Piedmont, Alabama, where 20 of the 22 people of the fatalities were in that church. Very sad. Number 11 is the April 2006 straight line wind damage event. Oh my goodness. This was a rather strange night for me. April 2nd, 2006 we were in the midst of a tornado outbreak in the lower Ohio Valley, just southwest of that region. One of the most notable tornadoes, I think it was the most notable tornado of the outbreak, was that F3 that hit Marmaduke, Arkansas and Caruthersville, Missouri. Marmaduke, Arkansas had been hit by an F3 back in 97, and in that case, traveled 50 miles. I think this one traveled 70 miles. I can't remember, but this was even larger than that one. Seen photos of both of them. The first one, black, needle, final tornado, scary. The other one, green wedge. The one in 06, though, did hit Caruthersville. I think the one in 97 narrowly avoided the town. But this event, there was a line that pushed into central Indiana by around 9, 10 o'clock. I was watching, do not ask how I remember this, The Life of Derek. I was watching that show, and so my mom said we need to go to the basement. It was just me and my mom at home. We had 2 back-to-back tornado warnings, basically. We came up after the first one. Some point in the middle of that, we had a straight line wind gust of 100 miles per hour. My God, it was sort of scary. I wasn't too scared about it, but it was just like, yeah, it was crazy, though. We are now in the top 10. Number 10 is the tornado emergency I went through in 2002. Oh boy. I was 4 years old when this happened. I do not remember much of it. I can guarantee you I was at home though. This tornado was very, very unusual in the fact that it happened in September, late September 20th to be exact. It was a Friday. My dad went to work that day. It was 1:30 when the tornado started coming up in Marion County. And it was an F3 again. It had been on the ground for already an hour, basically. As far as southwestern events since, it barely missed by a mile. It was crazy. But tornado ended up all up here near Ball State. It was on the ground for 2 hours and like 16 minutes. 112-mile path length, the second longest strike tornado in our state's history. Insane. No one got killed though, amazingly. Number 9 is the hailstorm that followed 12 days after the straight line wind damage event. Good Lord. This was a really intense day. Good Friday in 2006, April 14th. I just got out of school. I was in second grade. I told my dad, hey, there's rain coming, I think. We were talking to one of my friends and his dad. We went home. My dad took a nap. I saw a thunderstorm watch get issued. I thought, okay, severe weather's coming probably. Oh, it got way worse than that, and very quickly. There was golf ball sized hail, largest hail I've seen, the first hailstorm I've seen and witnessed, and I also was in the basement. I think the real reason why I was in the basement now, and I know why, we were under a tornado warning, not a severe thunderstorm warning, but my parents were all upstairs. I'm like, what in the world are you guys doing? There was legitimately a tornado warning, and I was the only one in the basement. But I mean, my parents were trying to really figure things out. It was an entire cluster. I mean, good God, the hail was kind of big. It was, and I saw the inside of the rings, but we had 3 cars in the backyard. All of them had gotten pretty badly damaged. Very intense. And then later that night was just, oh God. Number 8 is the Joplin tornado. Why is this not higher? This is more of just sad reality than really anything. This is really one of the, this tornado is one of the tornadoes that has awestruck me the most in terms of the fatalities. Joplin was the worst tornado since 1947. 158 people were killed by this tornado. I keep wondering why so many people died in this tornado. Yeah, it was an EF5. Winds were over 200 miles per hour, 1 mile wide. I went through Joplin back in May during the storm chase trip, and I gotta be honest, it was kind of eerie going through that town, being where the tornado was at its greatest strength. EF5 tornadoes are seriously it's the tornado from hell, basically. It's an EF5 tornado. The chances of you surviving that when you're above ground, yeah, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. A tornado like that just absolutely destroys everything in its path. But this was a tornado that definitely will never be forgotten about. And to all those who died, rest in peace. Still very true. Number 7 is Hurricane Camille and Katrina. I put both of them together because they're both They were so impactful in the same area. Hurricane Camille made landfall in, I think, Mississippi or something like that, and Katrina made landfall in Louisiana-ish. I can't remember. I think I'm getting these mixed up, but Camille was was the second strongest hurricane, most intense hurricane to make landfall. It had a pressure of 900 millibars, second to the the Labor Day hurricane in 1935, 892. Katrina was a Category 3 hurricane that made landfall, but didn't matter. The storm surge was 27 feet. Can you imagine 27 feet of water, standing water in your neighborhood? I sure can't. Camille was really bad with the winds. That was what made things really bad. The storm surge was 20 feet, I think, at one point, and 175 mile per hour sustained winds. My God, it was all over. 200 plus people killed in that one. Katrina caused almost 2,000 fatalities. That is insane. Staggering statistics. That was, I think, the costliest disaster we had in history up until Hurricane Harvey. Harvey not on this list because it still feels too new, and it's just one that's I cannot wrap my mind around. Number 6 is Hurricane Ivan. This was a phenomenon of the ages. Hurricane Ivan, one of the longest living hurricanes, I think, in history, was alive for 23 days. Cape Verde type hurricanes are some of the strongest, no wonder. A lot of warm water to work with and not enough wind shear, change in direction, height to tear it up. Those are usually the hurricanes you gotta worry about, Cape Verde type hurricanes. But reached Category 5 status 3 times. I mean, this was a very, very bad hurricane. Made landfall in Grand Cayman Islands and Jamaica. Oh boy, it was bad. Category 5 strength, 165 mile per hour sustained winds. Made landfall in Florida as a Category 2 or 3. I cannot remember, but though it doesn't end there. Hurricane Ivan is the hurricane with the most tornadoes spawn. Yeah, tornadoes do happen in hurricanes. Just look back at Dorian recently. It just happened. Dorian obviously not on this list. That just recently happened. 118 tornadoes were spawned. Yeah, I'm not kidding. 118. It looped into the United States, came back out. Actually, I think became a hurricane, I think, at one point. I don't know, but it was absolutely terrifying. Hurricane Ivan definitely in the books for reasons. Retired, obviously retired for a reason. We're now in the top 5. Things are about to get pretty interesting. Number 5 is the Storm of the Century from 1993, if you call it the no-name storm. There's also a no-name storm from 91, but this one's obviously well more known. Storm of the Century. This was a very powerful storm system, a cyclone that just absolutely tore its way through the eastern United States. March 12, 1993. Took its grip on states like Florida, Tennessee. Tornadoes were happening. Almost 6 feet of snow fell in one location in Tennessee. It was ridiculous. Like Pine Beach, Florida, waves were just being pushed inland so much that standing water and just rushing water were occurring because of the intensity of the wind with the pushing the waves in. Very chaotic situation. A lot of helicopter rescues had to happen because of that. It's almost like a once-in-a-lifetime storm system. In March of 2019, with the blizzard that happened, there was comparisons to that storm. And I'm not even surprised because that storm was insane. There was a bomb cyclone. There's a bomb cyclone, which means there was a 24 millibar drop in 24 hours. The pressure change was unbelievable. It was insanity at its purest. I know I've said insanity so many times, but okay, it's insane. I'm insane. Just kidding. Number 4 is the Greensburg, Kansas tornado. Oh my God. This was a worst case scenario at night for a small town, Greensburg, Kansas. There hadn't been an F5 since 1999, Moore, Oklahoma. We will talk about that up here in a few, trust me. The last F5 in history. 2007, we introduced the Enhanced Vegeta Scale. 3 months later, on May 4th at 9:30 p.m. at night, freaking huge tornado drops south of Greensburg. It was a storm that split left, and that left storm split again, monstrous tornado drop. You've got to watch out for those because they can drop some serious tornadoes, and it did. Not only did this tornado happen, it was 1.7 miles wide. Those do not happen very often. You get one about probably once. A tornado over 1.5 miles wide. Those don't come around very often. Maybe once a year, maybe once every 2 years. It's insane. Freaking mind blowing. And looking at this thing in the dark, you couldn't even see it the whole way at times. The lightning couldn't even illuminate the whole tornado at times. It was that freaking huge. Very intimidating. Easily EF5. 95% of the town got absolutely flattened. It was ridiculous. Unfortunately, 11 people were dead as a result of this tornado. And it wasn't finished there. This same storm produced 3 other gigantic tornadoes. The second one was the biggest one, and I cannot believe I'm about to mention this number. 2 miles wide was the second tornado. There was an EF5 and 3 EF3s. The first EF3 was 2 miles wide. I don't want to imagine looking at a tornado that huge at night. I'd be freaking terrified if we're being honest. I wouldn't even know what to think. A tornado that huge, yeah, you're probably not going to see it. First of all, because there probably is a lot of rain wrapping around. As you notice with massive twisters, sometimes they got a little bit of rain wrapped around them because they're so large and taking up a lot of the base that there's definitely going to be some rain circulating around that thing. You know there is. It's just absolutely intimidating. There's no known photographs of that tornado of the other two. The other two were like 1.5 miles, a mile. 2 of them caused a fatality each, unfortunately. Freaking insane. I remember watching the Storm Stories episode, the one about the police officer being killed in the second EF3, unfortunately, and the Greensburg tornado is one of the most intimidating tornadoes I know about. So there you go. I was about 10 years old when I watched it, and it freaking I'm just like, oh my god. Number 3. You want to talk about devastation? You want to talk about something that was pure, deadly? Hurricane Mitch. Why is Hurricane Mitch higher than Camille, Katrina, or Ivan? It's pretty simple. 1998 saw some wild weather, ranging from 2 F5s to a major derecho at the end of May to hurricanes. I think the 98 hurricane season had been actually going by a bit slow up until Mitch started. Mitch was a hurricane that started on October 20th. I don't remember the exact date. It came up around Cancun and it dropped south into Honduras. No, I'm sorry. Cancun's northwest of Honduras. I apologize about that. Whatever country is there east of Honduras, it came up around them. They thought it was going to go north. It dropped south. It did this whole zigzag pattern a couple times. Hurricane Mitch got to 180 miles per hour winds, 185 sustained. One of the highest ever recorded. Pressure was, I think, 910 millibars. It was a very powerful hurricane. The ugly fact about this is the ship called the Phantom was in the middle of it, unfortunately. There's a Storm Stories episode right now up on YouTube about it. Go check it out, please. Very emotional. Let me just straight up say this. The Phantom was a ship that lasted for about 60 years. You already probably know where I'm going with this. There was a lot of guests on it. The captain, Guy in March, he tried to get all the guests off at, I think, not Belize City, but I think it was Belize City. It was part of the, here's Honduras, down here. Belize City, or whatever area is up here, they dropped off all the guests. If a hurricane's coming, from what I've heard, you go back out to sea. You don't stay at port. He didn't have many options. Actually, I think the decisions he made were not very, I don't know, his options were very, very limited, and they're very tedious ones, too. Mitch was weakening slightly when it got down onto Belize City, but they were heading right for Mitch. Category 4, 150 miles per hour sustained winds, you don't last very long in those kind of winds, especially when it's something that's bearing down on you for minutes on end, hours on end. October 28th or 27th, they were in the height of the hurricane basically. Couldn't steal a ship anymore. Usually you want the winds to kind of push you out. That's what he was hoping for. Didn't happen. Just kept pulling them more in. They were kind of close to the eye wall at this point. I think they were within it. There, at the same time, there was a flight going on overhead of the hurricane flyers going up Mitch. Very rough ride. They didn't know at the time the Phantom was right below them. If they would have known, they would have tried to search and rescue. The problem is the conditions were so absolutely bad. You couldn't really do it. It would have been very risky. Unfortunately, around 4:30 p.m., they lost contact. Guy in March was telling them there was 40-foot waves to my people in Miami. The Phantom dissolved. I'm not even joking. The ship was gone. All 31 crew had died. That's sad. That hit me a little bit. I thought, really? All 31? All that was left was life vests. Honduras was it didn't stop there. Honduras had gotten up to 75 inches of rain. An entire middle class neighborhood got wiped out. Overall, about 11,000 people were dead or missing. It was really, really emotional for them. There were people that thought, oh yeah, they got hit, and they laughed about it. Laughed at some of the faces that people were trying to say, hey, you gotta get out of here. Those people probably got killed. You gotta think, if you think about it, they probably end up dead. I don't know. I would hope not. The water got pushing so far inland, it just disrupted everything. Everything got changed. I had a friend that actually went through Mitch. She wasn't quite in the worst of it, but they were kind of in the 19 plus thousand fatalities, the second deadliest Atlantic hurricane on record. Mitch, we're wrapping that up. Number 2 is a two-way tie. I'm going to kind of make this quick. It's 2011 super outbreak in the Indy 500 tornado. The 2011 super outbreak, why is that no number 1? It's just because of the fact that it wasn't the first major outbreak I knew about. I knew there was an outbreak like that. We're going to talk about it number 1. That's a little spoiler. I know, I'm sorry. 2011 super outbreak, that was god awful to watch. I don't remember much of April 27th, 2011, but I do know this. I do know that it was bad. It was really, really bad. It was even worse because look at where it hit. Dixie Alley. You can't see tornadoes down there very, very, very easily. Trees. Usually high precipitation supercells. A lot more people are down there. Population density, much higher. Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, all 3 states got obliterated. Alabama's hit the worst. Alabama had 252 fatalities of the 320-ish, 330. That is appalling from what James Spann said. The legendary James Spann from ABC 3340. Tuscaloosa has not had a great track record with tornadoes. They have been hit by multiple violent tornadoes. 2000, December 2000, might I add. April 2011, I think back in the 70s. I can't remember, but it was absolutely sad to even see something like this happen. Number 1 is a 3-way tie. Oh, sorry, Indy 500 tornado. That tornado is the closest tornado that's came to hitting my house. Indy 500 day in 2004 was quite an interesting one. Rain delayed race almost. A lot of rain happened during the day. It really kind of set things back a bit. And so, they got past the halfway mark. Didn't have to go to Monday. Buddy Rice was leading with about 40 laps to go. 40, sorry. If I sound like I said 4, that's why I repeated myself. Thunderstorms were coming back in the area. Actually, a lone supercell was about to drop a tornado. 20 laps to go, the race had to end because of rain. What really was going on? F2 tornado blew south of 465, starts trailing northeast. 250,000 spectators are at the race. Also 4 miles away, the Pacers Eastern Conference Finals game against Detroit Pistons is going on. Same time. Ridiculous. Got within a quarter mile of my house. Scary. Hope I never get hit by a tornado. Good God. Number one is a three-way tie between three of the most destructive tornadic events of all time. You can probably tell I love tornadoes the most. And I do. I like hurricanes too, but tornadoes is where my special. Like I feel like my likeness lays the most. The 1974 super outbreak, Moore 99, and Gerald, Texas tornado 1997. Let's quickly talk about the 74 outbreak. This used to be the worst tornado outbreak on record. The one that had the most tornadoes, 148 tornadoes across 13 states and Canada. April 3rd, 1974 is a day that will never be forgotten. My parents remember that day very well, actually. My dad was actually, he was about to be, I think, 11 that year. And he said he remembers. He said it clear as day. He's like, this is going to be a really bad day. It's going to be remembered. He was right. He was dead right. No other outbreak has had more violent tornadoes, more F5s, more fatalities. I think that was broken by the 2011 by a little bit. 7 F5s, 23 F4s. Well, here's the thing. Tornadoes were rated based more on wind speed back in the day. Now it's damage based, so things are a bit more clear. I do that because I don't like damage figures sometimes. This was an outbreak that our parents, all of our parents really went through. This was like in their lifetime. What was the one thing you remember from your childhood? If you're talking about weather, this outbreak. Someone would ask me, what outbreak do you remember the most in your childhood? I'd probably tell them the 2011 super outbreak. Yeah. 99 more. Simple, strongest tornado on record, 301 miles per hour winds. If people think that 300 miles per hour winds are 3 times as stronger than 100, oh no, 9 times stronger. 9 times stronger. The only other time you feel 300 miles per hour winds is on the fringe of a nuclear explosion. Better hope to God that ever happens. This tornado was the last F5 for 8 years. What a way to go out on the Fujita scale. 36 people dead, 38-mile path length, mile wide, lasted for almost 90 minutes, terrorizing on Monday afternoon. Yep, no wonder why people hate Mondays. All jokes aside, it was a part of a big outbreak. I could easily put Mulhall on this list. It would be a little bit lower, but God, that tornado was violent too. They thought it was even more violent than the Bridge Creek. If so, I would have been like, are you freaking kidding me? Gerald. For those who don't know, I think Gerald, in my opinion, is probably the worst tornado I think I know about. In my opinion, I think it's the worst tornado I have ever read about. Gerald, Texas was May 27th, 1997. It's a Tuesday. People are enjoying late spring day, last day of school. 3 o'clock. There are storms firing up north of Austin, south of Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. 3:30. Williamson County gets put under tornado warning, or 341 I should say. Lone supercell along I-35, west of I-35. Drops a needle, tornado. A pencil-like rope. Cool sight at first. It gets bigger, bigger, bigger. 3/4 mile wide, eventually. It hit Gerald as a half mile wide or 1/4 mile wide. That's where everything changes. The Double Creek Estates, completely gone. I mean, there was nothing left standing. Look at my tablet. House, gone. Flat as barren land. I'm not going to get into the details of the deaths because they were kind of gruesome. Also, one of the most gruesome aftermaths I can remember hearing about. People were carried and just tumbled. It took days to identify them. Yeah, I can't even go into details now. Cattle beaten up so badly. Super sad. If you were in your basement, you still got sucked out. Some people did. Just unfortunate. Very unfortunate. The slow speed, average speed was 7.6 miles per hour. That alone, the wind speed, unbelievable. 27 people were killed. It would have been a lot worse. It would have been definitely higher, the death toll, if it had crossed over on I-35. There are a lot of people stopped on the freeway because of the tornado. The tornado traveled in a south-southwest direction, completely missing the freeway. They better be thanking God it did that, still to this day. One more honorable mention I forgot about. Why? I don't know why I didn't put this on the list. It would have been definitely higher. This is one more tornado I gotta talk about. I have to talk about this. Wichita Falls, 1979. I have to talk about this for a second. This was one of the most scary tornadoes I've seen. Monstrous Black Wedge. April 10th is Tuesday. It's kind of warm. Then all of a sudden, a smaller kind of an outbreak starts happening. Vernon, Texas was hit hard first, nearly flattened. Seymour, Texas was hit. They were kind of spared a little bit, but there was still some stuff destroyed. Seymour, very intimidating. Cone tornado, not cone, meant more of a stovepipe. Wichita Falls, the same storm that had the Seymour tornado hit had Wichita Falls next in line. What happened was something just incredibly destructive. F4, mile and a half, 42 people were killed. A lot of those people try to get away from the tornado. There is a reason you should never try to outrun a tornado. You're not going to beat it. Tornadoes are not cars. They go at that speed they go at. I think the forward speed of that tornado, was 40 or 50 miles per hour. It was not slow. One of the most menacing tornadoes I've seen. Scary as hell. That's all on this list. If I'm missing any events, please let me know in the comments below. This has been an episode of Top Weather Events. I will do more of this stuff. I like talking about the weather, and I like to want to share stuff with all of you. This is going on both of my channels. Professional channel and my main channel in general for other content. Hope you all have a good night. I'll talk to you again soon.